Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. I've been considering trying a new introduction that goes something like this. Hey guys, how you doing? You're right. It's me, Justin Hawkins from the Dark. But then I don't talk like that normally, so it would probably not ring authentic. Today I'm talking about Nickelback, which is, in my view, one of the most divisive bands. Polarizes opinions. Some people really, really hate them. Some people really, really love them. Evidently, I would say, on balance, everybody's got an opinion about them, which I think is brilliant. That's how it's supposed to be, isn't it? It's supposed to upset people, ruffle a few feathers. They've sold so many records that you know they're doing something right. In the 2010s, Nickelback became the subject of internet memes that were critical of their music, a status that the band came to embrace. If you can't beat them, embrace them? Yeah, that's it. In May 2013, the readers of Rolling Stone magazine named Nickelback the second worst band of the 90s, behind only Creed. Which, that is a compliment, actually, isn't it? And in 2011, users of music-orientated dating site TasteBuds FM, what is that? Voted Nickelback as the #1 musical turn-off. Yes, and then Kroger commented that the criticism helped him to grow a thick skin. You do need a rhino skin to be able to operate in the music trade, and without it, they would be the just whatever band. It's so true. You need to divide opinion. If you're selling 50 million records, you're doing something right, and if everybody hates you, you're doing something right. So, congratulations, Nickelback. I think maybe it's just because they're so accomplished and, you know, they've had this massive hit. Let me talk about it. I'll try and work out what the chords are, and maybe we can discover why it's so successful and why it offends people so deeply. Justin Hawkins rides again. I saw them play a couple of times, actually. When they did the, they had one of their songs synchronized to a DFS advert, and that's a sort of, you know, it's a furniture company. I think they make settees mostly, and they used the song "I Want to Be a Rock Star" to advertise the sofas, and on the back of that piece of sort of brand partnershipery, they did a couple of shows in arenas in the UK. One of them was at the Wembley Arena, and one was at the O2 Arena. I think I went to both of those. And I really enjoyed them. I thought they were brilliant. There's a bit when the drummer, Daniel Adair, started doing a drum solo, and unless I was hallucinating, it seemed like the drum riser itself was moving. So there's all this sort of big production. They were really throwing the book at it just to try and, you know, capitalise on a bit of exposure from a settee advert. I quite respected it, to be honest. And I understand that sometimes people just... You just have a jib, the cut of which is not to everybody's liking. But I do think that polarising opinion is an important and valuable means to becoming successful. And somebody very, very wise said something along the lines of, and I think I'm paraphrasing here, the only way to guarantee popularity is to offend as many people as you possibly can. Is that what he said? I don't know. I don't know who said it. But it was something like that. Somebody clever said that, I'm sure. And they're doing that brilliantly. Always have done. Anyway, so How You Remind Me is considered to be Nickelback's signature song. It was named the #1 most played song on US radio of the 2000s. And that was measured by an organisation called the Nielsen Sound Scan. They really know their stuff. And that song had been spun over 1.2 million times on US airwaves since its release in 2001 until the end of 2009, and the song was ranked 4th on the Billboard Hot 100 Songs of the Decade. I'm not sure how those Billboard ones used to be logged. I don't know whether all that airplay was included in the way when they calculate that, or whether it's just pure hard sales. So I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me in the comments here. Let's have a little look at the song, and I'll try and establish what's going on.
Never made it as a wise man. I couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing.
Okay. It's not a 7th. It'd been really, imagine how posh it would be if Nickelback went. So it goes around. It goes from like C minor, more or less. I mean, there's a different inversion. I think he's got his guitar tuned in a way where he can have some drone notes ringing out. But I haven't done that because too lazy. So I reckon it's C minor, more or less, F, more or less, B flat, more or less, and then E flat. And then there's a little bit, sort of like a passing segment where he goes C to G sharp, to back to the B flat. And then it goes to this sequence, which is almost a bit like that Lenny Kravitz one. It goes, I wanna get away. That used to annoy people as well, didn't it? It's got all the elements of an annoying song. But I do think that having had all that airplay all around the world, it's part of it is familiarity breeding contempt. You know, if you're just going about your daily business and you're forced to listen to a Canadian rock band that you perhaps don't really care for, you're going to become quite resentful. From those 4 chords, they've taken those and they've wrung out every kind of melodic idea you can. Here's the melody counter.
It's not like you to say sorry. I was waiting on a different story.
This is the second one.
And I've been wrong, I've been down, been to the bottom of every bottle.
Third one.
These 5 words in my head scream, are we having fun yet?
Fourth one. So that second sequence that happens after the break, he's got 4 different melody ideas that he's used every single one of them. It reminds me of the sort of songwriting of another brilliant sort of late 90s, noughties and beyond songwriter called Greg Alexander, who seems to have like something on loop and it's a stream of consciousness melodically. Well, that's how it feels like he's coming up with his stuff, but with some extra ows and oohs and stuff like that. It's a really great example of getting as much as you can from 4 chords. It's probably why it's so. Maybe that's another reason why it's successful. You know, if you can just play 4 chords and then do all that with it and sing a song that's as long and as involved as this, then you're in business, aren't you? Used to be 3 chords in The Truth in Nashville. Then it's like I think a lot of AC/DC things. If you can play 3 of the chords, then you're all right. This one is 4 chords, which makes it more modern. But what they do with it is vast and varied. And I think that's why people have that sort of weird mixed reaction to it. It's because you kind of have to respect it, and being forced to respect things can be a bit galling sometimes, can't it? So that's so tight. All that stuff's right on the grid. This is kind of a brilliant example of what I call grid rock. The tempo never fluctuates. It always just stays right on the money. Everything's super tight to it. In the production of this, they've most probably snapped everything to grids, and it's the bits, even the bits when it's rocking, is super tight and no room for error. He's singing perfectly in tune all the way through it. The dynamics is coming from the sort of the volumes, and all the excitement is in the loudness of those guitars and how much grate he puts through his voice. It's a pretty awesome performance. When I was at those shows, I did have a little conversation with Chad, who's very nice to me actually. He's always been very welcoming, and he was saying that they always considered themselves to be grid rock. You know, everything had to be perfect in the studio, and you can hear that on this. And I think when they went to work with Mutt Lange, they were surprised that Mutt Lange was actually sort of pushing him to keep going even when he sort of felt like he had a perfect vocal performance even, and choosing things that were falling flat or sharp to add more of a human element to the experience of listening to Nickelback. If you record multiple takes, there's a temptation to choose the ones that are absolutely perfect, perfectly in tune, perfectly in time, maybe even cut things up and move it around so it sits exactly where nature would normally intend it to go. But I think a producer like Mutt Lange appreciates human elements, and he'll choose things that are flat or sharp in terms of the pitching of a vocal, for example, and he'll move things around so that they're a bit sloppier and flam on the beat. When I say flam, I mean fall before and after it, as opposed to right on it. And it makes it more, more palatable, more exciting to listen to. And even when you part of you knows that it's a cynical process, using digital tools and hours of engineering time to get to that, what you're actually creating is something that sounds achievable. I really think that this song is just, you just got to know those 4 chords. When you watch the video, you can see Chad playing bar chord versions of it, but I think it's probably a little bit easier if you stick a capo on the first fret, maybe, or maybe on the third. You can do it sort of a little bit country if you want to. The possibilities are endless, and I think that's what he shows us here. It reminds me a little bit, actually, of that solo that I'm really fond of in "Tunnel of Love" by Dire Straits, where it's just it's a chord sequence and a million different melodic ideas. That's kind of, to a lesser extent, that's what this is doing here. And when you do that within that sort of chord sequence, which I'm sorry to say, it appears in lots of other songs as well, thus is a little bit generic, you could say. But I think it's really inspiring because it sort of shows you the potential that any chord sequence has. You can do anything with it. I always think that if you've got a chord sequence that you absolutely love, don't just settle for the first melody you find. Keep going. Just find loads of them. And if you're ingenious like Chad Kroeger is, you can stick them all in one song. That's it. One after the other. Whichever one is the most powerful, use that as the chorus. And Bob's your uncle. You're away. And you hear that... heard that in that appeared in the Youngblood song that I was talking about at the end of last year. So we can complain all we like, but the influence of Nickelback is lasting and will be with us for some time. Well done, Nickelback. Just walking through Zurich Airport on my way to Oslo for a show. It occurs to me that I've forgotten an aspect of Nickelback that I have always celebrated, and that is the opportunity to speculate as to the origins of the band's name. I put it to you that it could be a combination of the silverback gorilla, which is the most powerful primate known to man, and also a vegan, just saying. And, well, a combination of that and perhaps stickleback, which is a small fish that has very sharp spines across the top of it, which protect it in the same way that Chad Kroeger's rhino skin protects him from the haters that have grown weary of the Nickelback music sound. I could be wrong, but I'm not. Justin Hawkins rides again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. Nice one, guys.